Hello, and welcome to Steve's Vintage Model Builds, where Steve's going to cook today. Been busy on the model workbench, but it's been cold here, and that's a good time for chili. So that's what I'm going to make today. I'm going to make chili. And so, talk a little bit about chili. Now, people from Texas, no beans in the chili. No, absolutely not. Basically, chili is a stew. You could almost call it a Mexican cassoulet, but anyways. So you can use chicken, you can use beef, you can use pork. My version, I use ground beef and ground pork. Other people, they do like chunks of round roast or pork shoulder, or pork loin. Whatever you've got, whatever you like. So I found, well, pork has more fat, so it adds flavor. So excuse me. So there's all different kinds of chili, and just like everybody makes a different red pasta sauce or whatever. And yeah, so if you're from Texas, no beans. And you go down to the States, and then there's chili with beans and chili without beans. And chili without beans is usually what you get on your hot dogs and your hamburgers when you have a chili dog or a chili burger. But that's not to say you can't use the stuff that has beans. So I like beans. Beans are great. Beans are good for you. They're full of fiber. They've got lots of protein, and etc., and carbohydrates as well. So, and yeah, mixed with the right things, they're a real power punch of protein. So start with the there's also something called Colorado chili, which is it has no beans either. I don't know what you call this version. My mom made a version, and she put brown sugar in it because my dad couldn't tolerate spice. So she put brown sugar in it, which isn't terrible, but it's not really. Anyways, I suppose you should have some brown sugar in it, or you can have. But anyways, okay, so yeah, everybody has their own way of doing it, and beans or no beans, that's up to you. Absolutely, completely, totally forbidden is mushrooms. Okay, mushrooms go in pasta sauce. They don't go in chili. Okay, I guess if you want to put mushrooms in yours, you can. Why you'd want mushrooms when you've got nice tender chewy beans, I don't know. But anyways, okay. So speaking of beans, okay, so I'm going to go through our ingredients here. I've got 2 large cans of tomatoes. I used 1 can of sliced stewed and 1 can of whole plum tomatoes. I have 1 28 fluid ounce tin of red kidney beans. And I may or may not use this, but I may finish it off with these diced tomatoes at the end. They have great flavor, and they'll add the chunkiness. I'm going to show you this. I'm not going to use this today. This is a chipotle pepper sauce. Chipotle peppers are very mature red jalapenos that are dried and smoked. And they add a really nice smoky flavor. A little bit of heat, but not too much. And I have a guest at my feet here. You know how it is when you're on the phone with a cat. Yeah, right. So, anyways, this is La Costeña. They have a lot of great products. I use them quite a bit. And yeah, so if you like that extra smokiness, that's a good way to get it in there. Okay, I've also got some, and this is optional. Oops. The soy sauce isn't optional. You can use salt instead, but soy sauce gives it nice color, and as long as you don't overuse it, it doesn't taste soy saucy. And I also put in some Maggi seasoning. This is completely optional. It does have MSG. Some people have problems with MSG. We don't, so we use it. It's great. It's MSG and soy sauce. So I use those as the base seasoning, and then I'll top it up with regular salt towards the end as it's needed, or at different stages. Okay, and then also need chili powder. Of course, can't have chili powder without chili, or chili without chili powder, and ground cumin. And everybody thinks the distinctive flavor of Mexican food is from chili powder, but it's not. It's from the cumin. Likewise with the aroma, that beautiful aroma that you get. Okay, so and I've got a little bit of my garlic and onion powder mix. Some pickled jalapenos. You can use fresh. We're fairly close to California, and I grow my own in the summer. But through the winter, I just use the pickled ones. You just toss them in. And I've got some crushed red pepper and cayenne pepper. Excuse me. Okay, so first up is the beans. Okay, I've used two kinds of dried beans here. I've got pinto beans and Great Northern white beans. You can use navy beans, and then of course I've got the can of kidney beans. If you just want to put a can of kidney beans in and that's your chili, well, that's okay. That makes it easier for you. If you want to have a bit of variety, difference in texture, color, and so on and so forth, I use the three beans. So with dried beans, basically, if you can, what you want to do is you want to soak them in water overnight. So before you go to bed, you just put them in a bowl with cold water, covered in a couple inches of water. And you can put them in the fridge, or you can just leave them on the table covered up. And so that's what you end up with. Likewise here. Now these are a bit smaller beans, so now if you're in a hurry, well, you can do it the day of. You get up in the morning and you can get away with 6 to 8 hours of just soaking. If you're up in the morning, you're going out for the day, whatever, they'll be ready to go. If you're in even more of a hurry, what you can do is you can take your dried beans and you can put them in a pot, cover with about, bring a good sized pot of water to boil, depending on how much your beans are, or how much beans you have, and bring that up to a boil. Don't salt the water, not at this point. Generally speaking, you don't salt the bean water beforehand. That makes the beans tough, tends to make them tough. So usually what's done is at the end, when you drain them, you just add your salt at that point in time. So yeah. Now, so you can put them in the boiling water, and you can boil them for I don't know, about 5 minutes at a heavy boil, and then take them off the heat and set it aside. And in about 2 hours, they should be ready to go. So anything tighter than that, order in and prepare for the next day, I guess. Yeah. So, okay, so 2 different sizes of beans, and I'm going to start with the pinto beans. And chili is very nutritious, so like I said, it's packed with carbohydrates and protein, lots of fiber, and plenty of vegetables too. So, yeah. Okay, so okay, so these are a little bit bigger. So they're going to go in first. Actually, I think I'm going to this way. There we go. Oh, and our cookware is Lagostina, and it's excellent. We picked up one or two others along the way, other Lagostina pots and pans. But this set, our original set, was a wedding present, and that was 21 years ago. And they're still perfect. No complaints at all. Okay, so we're going to bring that water up to a boil. And then while we're waiting on that, I'll slice up some veggies. We love our new cat, Mickey, but she's just a little over 9 months old, so she's a little rambunctious at times. Okay, so clean this up. Now, I don't like hot stuff as much as I used to. I mean, I used to, the macho stuff, the hotter the better. No more. I like to taste my food, not the heat. And Esther doesn't like it hot either. She likes some heat, but not too much. So, but if you like things a little hotter, you could put in some bird's eye chilies, or whatever kind of chili that you like, whether it's red or green. Yeah. I want these nice and chunky, nice big chunks. Okay. Hey you. What are you doing? And I like to do this kind of thing in a big batch, and then freeze it. Like I said, it's a stew, so stew freezes it perfectly. And like with stew and apple pie, tastes even better the next day. What are you doing? Honestly, it's like having a 2-year-old. And she's a good girl. She is settling in, although she's just eaten something paper off my desk. Oh, and I got one tomato here. It's a sorry, rather squished up old one from the fridge. And of course I thoroughly washed these before I put them out on the board. Ah, serrano. That was the other pepper I was thinking of. That's a small, usually red pepper, although, like with all peppers, they're red and green. And when dealing with hot peppers, I strongly suggest that you wear gloves. And don't, under any circumstances, touch your face, or any skin for that matter. Yeah, you have to be so careful. And for those who might not be aware, the heat is in the white part and the seeds. So if you don't want things quite so hot, you can clean that out. One thing that I do is, and it's also a good way to measure, is I'll just take the little chili, I'll put a slit right down the middle so it exposes the insides. And then plunk it in there. And 1 is for mild, 2 is for medium, and 3 or more is hot. Also depends on how long you leave them in there. If you leave them to break down right to nothing, and all that's left is the seeds, then it's going to be pretty hot. Tasty. And of course, most people will enjoy a nice nice bit of crusty bread with chili and green salad if you want, although there's plenty of veggies in the chili. Unless it's Texas chili, then it's just chili and beef, usually. Okay. Now, what's going on with this? It's taking too long. How's everybody doing? Are we over the post-Christmas blues? And well into the dark of January blues? Actually, yeah, it's been, yeah, of course, it's been getting lighter gradually every day now. Okay. Herd of buffaloes running by there. Okay, so that's enough of that. Excuse me. Alright, so I dealt with that rampaging beast, mostly. Oh. And you want to watch your bean pot. It'll go before you know it. Okay. Go. Save that for tomorrow's salad. Or maybe an omelette. showed this on the hobby channel yesterday. I picked this up in Japan. I've been looking for a really nice cleaver for quite some time, and I found one. So not using it today because I don't have to kill a chicken, but nice little blade. And for this is just going to get dumped in at some point. Gives some nice chunkiness. Okay. Move that over. Now the beans, after they've been soaked overnight, they take anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour. It really just depends how well they've hydrated from the night before. Excuse me. And so I'm going to let these go for just about 5 minutes maybe, and then I'll add the Great Northerns. And then they get put back to simmer. Okay, lots of pausing going on. All right, so yeah, so we got these. I added the Great Northerns, and they're coming back up to a boil. Give that a rinse. Okay, and I got 2 pounds of ground meat here, beef and pork combined. It's usually about a 2/3 to 1/3 ratio, beef to pork. Okay, And we're going to brown this. We're not going to gray it. We're going to brown it. And the browning process, in culinary terms, is called the Maillard effect. And that's where you get that little crust of brown, like you get on your burgers on the flat top, and if you brown the meat properly. And that gives you a whole other layer of flavor. Contributes to the umami. Okay. I'm going to give the beans a stir. Make sure they don't stick into the bottom or to each other. Okay, I'm going to show you this now. Can you see that? There's a little lake of liquid there, a little pond of liquid in the middle, and some of that is fat, but most of it is just water. And as I've said before, and many others have, fat is flavor. By the time all is said and done, it's really just negligible. Excuse me. And your body does need fat, healthy fats, even saturated fat. What do you want? You want to say hello? No? Okay. Well, that's good. I don't have to wash my hands again. Okay, take a little pause here and be back in a minute. Okay, so here we are back. So all that water's evaporated away, and there's hardly even a teaspoon of fat in the bottom there. It's all clinging to the ground beef, so it's so good. Okay, so now comes the seasoning, or to start the seasoning. So we've got our Maggi sauce. Good few drops of that. Soy sauce. Stir this around a little bit. Make sure that gets nicely coated. I'm not going to use fresh garlic. If you do use fresh garlic, you want to put it in near the end. If you put it in now, it's going to be bitter. Get down. yeah, it's gonna, yeah, it won't taste good. So, so I've got that. I don't like much garlic anyways in my chili. Some people do, but just a little bit of this onion and garlic powder will do. And I also have my famous garlic chips if I need to add some more. Okay. I use no-name chili powder. Thing to remember, not all chili powders are the same. Chili powder is a mix of different chilies. And so some will have different flavors. Some will be hotter, some will be milder, some will be a little more harsh, and so forth. What do you want? So that amount's just going to get us started. And then this gives you heat and smokiness. And I like to do it this way because it kind of toasts in the spices. About a half a teaspoon each of those, or about a teaspoon, half a teaspoon, whatever. Come on now. There. You can chop those down. I just kind of squish them in. They're already been pickled. They'll break down. Once the spices start going in, you don't want to be walking away from this because they'll burn pretty quick if you don't keep stirring. Cumin has such a unique aroma and flavor, but you don't want to overuse it. You know, you can pile in the chili powder, but it doesn't take that much cumin. So what I'm doing here in cookery, they call it building flavor, and that's layer on layer on layer. And usually, you know, you want it to cook a little bit before you move on to the next layer. So we've got more chili powder here. Excuse me. And some restaurant cooks they'll brown the beef separately, and then just pour the dried beans in with all the other liquids, and then they'll add the ground beef afterwards. I prefer to cook my beans beforehand, but to each their own. Those are nearly ready. With the beans too, you don't want to overcook them. Otherwise they'll break down and all you'll have is mush, not chili. And all the nutrition's still there and probably digest a little easier, but oh, that's the other thing. Soaking the beans pretty much makes sure that you're not going to get gas. So you can skip the beano. Okay. Excuse me. Okay, we'll go in for the first taste. We're okay for heat there. Seriously though. And the heat is like the salt. You want to get it in there properly at the beginning. Not if you try to load it up at the end, it's not going to work out so well. That's not to say that you can't, toss some fresh chopped jalapenos into your bowl of chili when you've got it. So when it's there in front of you. Okay, I'm going to turn that off and then just let those sit in the water for a bit. Excuse me. Dough is ready. Okay, so now here, whole plum tomatoes, they go in first. The stewed tomatoes are already cooked. And you can certainly use fresh tomatoes or fresh frozen tomatoes. These are handy. What the heck? Give these a bit of a squish. Oh, and yeah, I guess January 25th, it's Robert Burns Day. So happy Robert Burns Day to everybody out there who celebrates. Piping in the haggis and toasting with the whiskey and whatever else you do on Robbie Burns Day, and recite the poetry and just have a generally nice party. So everybody enjoy, have fun. And that's just water now at this point. And some people save the bean water. You can add it, or some of it, later on to thicken up the chili. Since I'm using the canned kidney beans, I just throw it all in completely with whatever bean water is in there. Or you can drain these out and then put in as much as you want. Okay, so we'll let this simmer away for a bit and then give her another taste. Okay, so here's our evil little mixture. And I added the onions and the fresh tomato. Set it correctly again. There we go. Okay. Goes back over here. Now the beans go in. Always remember when you're pouring, pour away from yourself. Okay. A bit more salt. And a dash of sugar. Oh, and today's the 25th here in Canada, but it's the 26th in Australia. And so I wish everyone a very happy, healthy, and hearty Happy Australia Day. Yes. I hope you're parading around, drinking a lot, barbecuing, and showing the Australian flag. Yeah. So, which I'm sure a lot of them are doing, which is good. Okay, so that gets turned down and covered up, and we've got another pause. Okay, so we're in the home stretch here. Got the beans in. I put the onions in late because I didn't want them to break down completely. Now the kidney beans go in, complete with the water. So, on a budget, or maybe just don't want to be bothered with all of this. Okay, well, you get 3/4 of a pound ground beef or ground beef and pork mixed. A couple cans of beans like this. One of those big cans of stewed tomatoes. Do what I did, brown the beef, toss it all in, heat it through, add seasoning to your taste, and there you go. So Bob's your uncle, as they say. Okay, so I adjust the seasoning a little bit. The base heat is perfect. And, you know, I can always add more chili flakes or whatever when I serve it. And then these guys go in. These guys go in because I still like them to still have a bit of crunch left. Oh, and I guess this is I guess it's an 8 quart. I don't know what it is, 12 quarts maybe. Anyways, you want a good big pot. You don't want to be cheap on the pot. There it is. Why won't you? There we go. One certified hot mess. There you go. Have a bit of garlic bread with this tonight. So, not counting soaking the bean water, takes about 2 hours, you know, by the time you let everything all stew down and everything like that. I'm just running up to about an hour on the screen time here, but obviously I took pauses while things stewed down and so forth. I will add this at the end, just to finish it all up. I like lots of chunks of tomatoes. And there's enough residual heat in there. You can just sit on the back burner until it's ready for supper. That's going to do for a few good meals and a couple of chili burgers and dogs too. Okay, so yeah, so that's it for today. Thanks for joining me. Hope you've enjoyed it. It's a pretty simple thing to do, just showing a bit of the process. And like I said, you know, on cold winter days and evenings, hard to go wrong. Get some of those, what do they call them? Oyster crackers. In the States, or just some regular crackers, Chilean crackers. That used to be a real staple. Going to the diner, Chilean crackers. So we're all set. So thanks again for joining me. I really appreciate everyone's time, and welcome any comments people might want to leave. And So, and thinking of all our friends in Britain who are recovering from Eowyn, the North Sea storm, I guess it was, or Irish Sea storm. Anyways, it barreled in there, and quite a bit of wind damage and some other damage as well. So, can you do? Make sure stuff is nailed down good. Okay, so yeah, that's it. So thanks again. I really appreciate everybody's time, and we'll see you next time. Bye now.